What kind of person tries to rip a wig off someone's head in front of a crowd, just to prove a point? That's exactly what happened one sunny afternoon in our quiet suburban neighborhood, when Ellen, the iron-fisted queen of our HOA, decided to make my mom, Clara, her latest target. It was supposed to be a perfect spring day, with laughter, clinking glasses, and kids chasing each other across manicured lawns at our annual garden party. But Ellen had other plans, and what unfolded wasn't just a fight, it was the spark that set our whole community ablaze. Picture this: the garden party was in full swing, flowers blooming, streamers fluttering in the breeze, and neighbors swapping stories over plates of potato salad. My mom, Clara, was in her element, mingling near the rose bushes, her scarf-wrapped headscarf elegant as always. She's always been the kind of person who lights up a room, her laugh pulling people in like a warm hug. But then Ellen strutted in, her pristine blazer and sharp eyes cutting through the crowd like a shark through water. She wasn't there to enjoy the party. Ellen never was. She was the HOA chairwoman, the self-appointed sheriff of our little kingdom, and she wielded her rulebook like a weapon. Ellen's reputation preceded her. She wasn't just strict, she was ruthless. Forgot to trim your hedges by half an inch? Expect a fine. Planted tulips instead of roses? She'd show up at your door with a lecture. To her, the neighborhood wasn't a community. It was her personal canvas, and she'd paint it however she damn well pleased. That day, her sights locked on my mom. Why? Clara's headscarf, which Ellen decided was a wig, and apparently a crime against her sacred HOA guidelines. Never mind that no such rule existed. Ellen didn't need facts, she needed control. The air shifted as Ellen marched toward Clara, her heels clicking on the stone path. Conversations died. People turned, sensing the storm coming. "Excuse me, Clara?" Ellen's voice sliced through the chatter, loud enough to make sure everyone heard. "We need to talk about your headwear. It's a violation of HOA policy." The crowd froze. Clara blinked, her polite smile faltering. "I'm sorry, Ellen, I don't understand. What policy?" Ellen smirked, relishing the moment. "Wigs aren't allowed. You're breaking the rules, and I'm going to need you to remove it. Now." You could have heard a pin drop. Clara's face flushed, not with shame but with the kind of disbelief that hits when someone's trying to tear you down for no reason. There was no rule against wigs, everyone knew it. This wasn't about regulations, it was personal. Ellen had always had it out for Clara, maybe because Clara's warmth made Ellen's coldness stand out even more. The crowd whispered, some embarrassed, others angry, but no one dared speak up. Not yet. Ellen stepped closer, her voice rising. "Don't play dumb, Clara. Take it off, or I'll do it for you." That's when it happened. Ellen reached out, her manicured nails aiming for Clara's headscarf, ready to humiliate her in front of everyone. The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath as time seemed to slow. Clara stepped back, her dignity intact but her eyes wide with shock. It was a line crossed, a deliberate act of cruelty meant to break her. But Ellen didn't count on one thing: my cousin Ethan. Ethan had been watching from the sidelines, his broad shoulders tense, his jaw tight. He's a college linebacker, built like a freight train, but it's his heart that makes him unstoppable. Family means everything to him, and seeing his aunt under attack flipped a switch. He didn't think. He didn't need to. With a low growl of "Enough," Ethan pushed through the crowd, his steps deliberate, his eyes burning. Ellen barely had time to register his approach before he was on her. In one fluid motion, he grabbed her not violently, but with the kind of controlled strength you don't argue with, and lifted her off the ground. What happened next was like something out of a movie. Ethan spun, using his momentum, and slammed Ellen onto the nearby patio table. The wood groaned, then shattered under the impact, splintering into 1,000 pieces as Ellen hit the ground, sprawled in the wreckage. The crowd erupted in gasps, some stepping back, others leaning in, eyes wide. For a moment, no one moved. The shards of the table glinted in the sun, a broken throne for a fallen tyrant. Ellen, dazed, tried to sit up, her usual smugness replaced by shock. And just like that, the spell she'd held over our neighborhood cracked. Clara adjusted her headscarf, her hands steady despite the chaos. Ethan stood over Ellen, not gloating, just resolute, like a guardian who'd done what he had to. The neighbors exchanged glances, the silence heavy with a truth no one could ignore. Ellen wasn't invincible. She was a bully, and bullies can fall. That moment wasn't just about Clara or Ethan, it was about all of us, every neighbor who'd ever paid a fine for a wrong mailbox color or torn up their garden to appease Ellen's whims. It was the line in the sand we'd all been too scared to draw. The garden party didn't go back to normal after that. How could it? The air buzzed with something new, anger, yes, but also possibility. Neighbors started talking, really talking, not just about the weather or the kids' soccer games. Stories poured out, Ellen's fines for unapproved flowers, her threats over Christmas lights left up a day too long, her secret inspections of backyards. It was like a dam had burst, and the flood wasn't stopping. Clara, still shaken but standing tall, became a quiet symbol of defiance. Ethan, the guy who'd turned a table into kindling, was suddenly the hero nobody expected. In the days that followed, the neighborhood didn't just seem merit organized. Whispers over fences turned into meetings in levying rooms. Someone dug up old HOA records, and what they found was dynamite. Ellen had been skimming funds, issuing fines that never made it to the community budget, even forging notices to scare people into compliance. It wasn't just petty tyranny, it was fraud. By the time the next HOA meeting rolled around, the community center was packed, the air electric with purpose. Ellen sat at the front, her usual swagger gone, replaced by a nervous twitch as she shuffled papers. Mark, a retired lawyer with a voice like gravel, took the podium. "We've let one person run this neighborhood like her personal fiefdom for too long," he said, his words landing like punches. "Tonight we take it back." The room roared. Lisa, a quiet accountant who'd never spoken at a meeting before, stepped up with a stack of documents. "These are Ellen's financial records," she said, her voice shaking but clear. "Illegal fines. Misused funds. She's been stealing from us." The crowd gasped, then cheered as Lisa laid out the evidence, piece by damning piece. One by one, neighbors stood. Mrs. Thompson, who'd been fined for her tacky garden gnome, shared how Ellen had threatened her with a lien. Tom, a single dad, talked about the time Ellen tried to ban his kid's basketball hoop. Each story fueled the fire, and when Mark called for a vote to remove Ellen as chairwoman, the ayes were deafening. Ellen didn't even try to argue. She just sat there, eyes darting, as her empire crumbled. By the end of the night, she was out, her keys confiscated, her authority gone. The cheers shook the walls. But it didn't stop there. Losing Ellen wasn't enough, we wanted better. The HOA was rebuilt from the ground up. We elected new leaders, people like Mark and Lisa, who cared about the neighborhood, not control. They scrapped Ellen's ridiculous rules, replacing them with policies that made sense: community gardens, block parties, a fund for kids' sports. Clara's garden, once a target of Ellen's wrath, became the heart of our gatherings, a place where we planned a future that belonged to all of us. Ethan, back at college, got letters from neighbors he'd never met, thanking him for lighting the spark. Looking back, that garden party wasn't just a fight, it was a revolution. Ellen thought she could shame Clara and keep us all in line, but she underestimated us. She didn't see the strength in Clara's quiet grace or the fire in Ethan's loyalty. She didn't realize a community, pushed too far, can push back harder. Now, when we gather in Clara's garden, laughing under the stars, we're not just neighbors. We're family, forged in the wreckage of a broken table and the courage to stand up. And Ellen? She's just a story we tell, a warning of what happens when power forgets who it serves.